Welcome back to another Genius Days. Today we're talking about mental thinking patterns and how different patterns in our mind repeat themselves. And this is a very interesting topic. We're going to dive right into it. But first, we need to hear a disclaimer for you guys listening.
Yeah, so basically, look, guys, this is the deal, right? We're here sharing based off our own experiences, okay? And our experiences are shaped by our life path, right? And so you might not have the same life path as us, right? But you can still pull something out from our stories, right? And so at the same time, don't try to live our life. You're going to fuck yourself up by trying to live my life. Try to live your life, okay? If you fuck up your own life, that's on you. That's your decision. You're a grown adult. You have free will to the degree that you have control of your mind, which is what we're going to go into today. And so this is the disclaimer. Don't fuck with us. We don't fuck with you. Love us, and we're going to love you back. All right? Be the best. Fuck the rest.
Word, and also don't break any laws of the land and make sure that you're 18 and over watching this. Awesome. So basically, the first thing that came up for me is I saw this thing on social media, which was showing a diagram of the way that an ego forms around a loop and intuition forms around a spiral. So just drew it out for you guys essentially, right? So when you're stuck in your thoughts, you get stuck in an ego loop in a sense, where you're like, I'm thinking of the same thought. It's creating more emotions on the thought. That's creating certain actions, and that's creating more thoughts. That's the CBT. You ever heard of cognitive behavior therapy? That's the loop. You get stuck in the thought. So if you don't change the thought and you keep getting that same mental pattern, you're going to keep doing the same shit. You're going to be, having the same kinds of emotions, and it's just going to keep repeating. It's going to be a downward spiral. However, when you start breaking the pattern interrupt, as Tony Robbins would say, you start to actually go more inwards with this journey, and you start coming back to the self, and you actually start changing things around. And by changing the thought around as well, you start changing the actions and then the emotions. So this is just something that I wanted to share with you guys, just to get a brief understanding of how can I tell the difference between my ego and my intuition, right? The intuition speaks in symbols and sounds and feelings. It's not very straightforward. It's not like an essay. Your ego can write a long essay for you and try to prove its worth, but the intuition is just going to be like, that's intuition, right? So it's much more subtle energy, and it's much more going inward. So this is just something to get you guys to understand that you don't repeat the same patterns, the same loop of thought that gets you stuck in a particular paradigm. What do you guys think of that?
I think what you say is absolutely correct. You cannot expect to change for the better if you keep taking the same way. It all starts with, the attention, where you're coming from, almost as if it's a story. If you look at the character of the Joker, from Jack Nicholson to Heath Ledger to Joaquin Phoenix, every one of them are portraying a certain character, a certain cartoonish character in their own way, but they're very distinct. And each has their own process, each has their own way of thinking. And clearly, if we would have three actors with completely different ways of thinking, completely different ways of background, maybe an Indian one, an American one, maybe someone from the North Pole, an Eskimo, whatever, it would have to act like me. They would take the concept of me and act as such according to their interpretation. What's up, Alejandro?
Yeah, so when I was 18, I learned that we think the same things basically our whole life, right? And let's break this down. Let's break down the statement. We're always looking for money. We're always looking for sex. We're always looking for love. We're always looking for food, right? We want to do good in life, right? We don't want to fail. So those literally the same fucking thoughts over and over for our whole fucking life. That's the real shit. That's real shit, guys. You know, we are basically thinking the same things, just slightly a different scenario, a different person, right? Oh, Zakia broke up with me. Oh, now fucking, Sabrina broke up, and now fucking Jessica, and now fucking, and thinking about my breakups. Oh, fuck, I get back into a relationship again, and oh, fuck, they keep breaking up with me. That was my cycle. That was the cycle that I lived, where I was a player, but then when I got with a girlfriend, I was with her for a bit, and then I would lose myself in the relationship, right? And then the girl would break up with me, right? That was a cycle that I lived for some time. And then I just had to stop. I just had to stop everything. I just had to stop everything that I was doing. Everything, not even the positive shit. I had to pause it all. I had to pause that whole world that existed for me, right? So, like, I think that's part of the things that we could do is, like, just stop everything, right? Maybe that's not the best, but that's what worked for me, right? What are you guys thinking?
Man, what's coming up for me is when you said the idea of like the cycle that you were in. It's so true, bro. Like, we get caught in so many different types of cycles throughout our lives, right? And it's like the self-sabotage knows the way that it functions. It like knows the path. It knows that you're going to fall into a similar pattern, and it's going to keep repeating. So it's basically a storyline, right? Like, I remember in my past, I was trapped in the storyline of the underdog, right? And so I used to watch like movies and shows and always like root for the underdog, you know, the guy who's like going from rags to riches, you know, and this idea. And I noticed that, man, every time that I succeed, I self-sabotage back down again so I can get the high from the climb again, right? And once I started to notice that pattern, only then I could change it. It's like awareness precedes control, right? If somebody's manipulating you, you don't know that, how can you control that? How can you change that, right? So if you're unaware that you're in a cycle or in some kind of loop, you can't ever change that. Once you're aware of that, once you take the red pill or whatever, like once you realize that, okay, this is the truth, then you're like, oh, now I can change things around, right? So that's kind of been my experience. But yeah, I like what you said about, we like almost step into a cycle, like a Groundhog Day type shit, you know, like we step in and we keep doing the same shit until we realize, like, wait a second, I'm actually in hypnosis right now. Like, I'm stuck in the same pattern. I need to be doing something differently now in order to break this pattern. So yeah, sometimes we do need to like skirt.
Yeah, man. That is completely true. That's completely true. Until you change your ways, you will stay in the same position. You will keep following the same path. But this is my story. Before I became a proper martial artist, I had an extreme self-doubt. I still have it here and there, but I remember almost being a white belt for maybe 2 years in old school Taekwondo. Back in the day, you didn't just give away the belts, if you know what I mean. You need to earn that shit, and just feeling miserable until I decided to do it for fun instead of doing it as a must, and reintroducing myself into finding what I find fun about it, and that was the sheer violence of it. All of a sudden, I was eligible for exams, competition, etc. All of a sudden, my dad becomes interested. I become even more invested into fighting. All of a sudden, I'm fighting against the son of the grandmaster, and it took a whole different look because I changed my intention. No longer was I focused on the belt as a prize, because the belt is nothing more than a symbol at that point. But I wanted it. Then I simply changed it into a symbol of progress, and that's it. It's not my decision to get the belt, but it is my decision to do the work and somehow find what makes this enjoyable. It's the same thing with beasting. I don't always want to beast out. Sometimes I feel like a lazy fuck. Correction, often I find myself feeling like a lazy fuck, but I had to get out of bed, do the fucking cold showers, drink that disgusting egg yolk, drink a shit ton of protein for fourth all goddamn day and three all goddamn day just to stack those motherfucking wins. And that's, in essence, was as real, which is something I just started to realize. The stacking of small wins is so extremely important because it's literally you counting your blessings. Very similar idea. But from the moment you wake up, you have beaten your competition. It's very similar to what Mike Tyson used to say. If my opponent gets off at 5, I damn well better be sure to get up at 4 so I can get one extra training session in, just so that I'm ready, more than ready for that night. Because when that night comes, it's go time. Smith, Alejandro, your thoughts?
You're muted,
Bro, you're
brother.
muted.
Although things move in a circle, and this is the circle of life, we also need to see that things aren't exactly linear like that, right? And so I think of the world as a network, when we think about galaxies and shit, like when we think about all our nerves, if you guys ever seen pictures of like what's it like to be in the nerves, right? Or better yet, in cop TV shows, when they're looking for a bad guy and they got all these different clues and they're all crossing each other and shit, right? And then there's like one, and then it all leads back to like, in the middle, or like, some specific person or whatever, right? And that's exactly what it's like being stuck in your patterns, right? It's literally going through you have to hit a bunch of things over and over again to come back to the same result. That's a fact. So you literally have to repeat so many things, and everything has to be going exactly the same way as before. And so, this network is built from our experiences, right? And our perception of our own experiences, right? And then our perceptions create our beliefs. And our beliefs lived out become our identity, right? And so what we have to do is we have to put in new facts, right? We have to create new facts, right? And so, we go back to the past. We reanalyze the past. Did it really happen like that? Am I willing to let go of thinking it went down like that, right? Like, let's just say, one time I'm high. This is just like a simple example. One time I'm high, right? And like super fucking stoned. And there's a girl that kind of rejected me, right? And then like two guys next to me that were my friends, they start laughing, right? I don't know for sure if they started laughing because of that, right? I could have been like at first in the moment, because I'm high, I'm in that paranoia stage. I'm over here thinking that they're laughing at me, right? But that's the perspective that I'm standing on. I'm standing on the place of paranoia, right? If I look back at it, knowing what I know now, there's just so many moments that just happen to be in alignment, that happen at the same time. They have nothing to do with each other, right? And so I'm essentially completely erasing. I'm changing the past, right? Now, what quantum physics has taught us is that you can change the future by going into the past and changing the past, right? And the movies that we watch about time travel, that's real. That they prove to us that is real. That people go back in time, they say something to their past self, right? And then they come back to the future, and the future is different. They kill the fucking butterfly in the future. They fucking 9/11 happens, right? So what you can actually do is because, I mean, you know, for one, all of yourselves exist now, in the moment. All of yourselves exist now. Your ugly self, your handsome self, your weak self, your strong self, right? At the same time, all of your past and all of your future exist simultaneously, right? So what you do in the moment, you go to your past, right? You time travel inside of you, inside of your world, inside of your own individual galaxy, right? You time travel to you, and you go to an event where shit didn't go, you know, right, whatever it may be. And you tell your version what the fuck is about to happen, right? And you tell them how to go through it, right? And then you come back to the future. It's different. It's different. And so that's a trick. That's a tool. That's a manifestation. That's quantum jumping, whatever you want to call it, time traveling. It's a way that we can quite literally change the past so that we can change the future and we can have new patterns of being. How you guys feeling?
Right, man. Like that's so powerful because, you know, the mind doesn't really question the past, and it like automatically accepts the past as true. So when we're actually going and doing these visualizations of the past, like we're actually taking the energy that we have now, the consciousness that we hold through all these years of experience, and we're applying it to a past memory, right? And the place for memory and imagination is from the same part of the brain, right? So when we're doing that, it's like we are actually changing the emotional blueprint of that memory, right? So like, let's say the teacher called you like let's say a teacher said, oh, you can't paint, you'll never be an artist, right? Like if you take duct tape in the visualization and put it around that teacher's mouth, and the teacher's like, right? Like that changes the reality, actually. Like it'll make you release something. It'll make you go through some kind of a change. So yeah, perception creates reality. And what's coming up for me when you said like we have to go through these phases, like these portals in a sense, it's like these milestones, right? We go through life in these different milestones. Like think of like the highlight reel of your life, right? Like if you had a movie reel playing, like what would be like the highlight reel, you know, of your life? And as you're going through this highlight reel, you're realizing that these thoughts are creating chemistry in my body, right? They're activating different hormones, right? They're like creating certain cellular reorganizations in the body and shit. So like our thoughts actually, you know, can create the differences in our cells. Like that's what epigenetics is, right? Is like our beliefs can shift our actual cells and our bodies, right? So, I mean, we're going very deep with this. We're talking about quantum, we're talking about epigenetics, but I mean, really though, this topic is very, very deep. Like there's a lot of depth to the mind. So we can't stay surface level with it. We have to go into the subconscious realms at times. But yeah, that's what's coming up for me, bro.
So essentially, we can activate and deactivate DNA, right? And we know this. If you think negative thoughts, you're more likely to activate the fucking depression gene, the fat gene, or the whatever disease runs in your family. You're more likely to activate them by thinking negatively, right? And so I have found that one of the best ways to just fucking stop all these thoughts, right, is to literally detox myself. Detox from sound. There's sound pollution, right? We're always hearing a bunch of people, all their fucking sayings, or we're hearing commercials. The eye pollution, bunch of images being thrown into our eyes all the fucking time without our even consent, right? We can't stop it. If you put this jar in front of my face and my eyes are open, I'm gonna see it, right? I can't stop my eyes from seeing, you know. And with food, that's the next one, with food, because with food, that's what we produce ourselves with, right? We create cells. We create a whole fucking cell, right? And all your cells are working together for the common purpose, right? And so what I do when I detox I clean out my colon, right? I make sure I shit out all shit that's been inside of me, right? Because your shit will hold on to the information of the food that you put in before, right? And so when I'm doing a detox, I only eat like very high vibrational foods, right? I stick to eating high vibrational foods, right? And so if I only eat high vibrational foods, then my vibration is going to change. My state of being is going to change. And I'm not always eating high vibrational foods, right? You know, like maybe I'll eat some egg, which is not bad. It's not bad to eat egg, but it's also not like the most high vibrational food. It's not a light food, right? And so when I'm doing a detox, I specifically only want to be working with light foods. And by light foods, I mean like foods that absorb a lot of light, right? And essentially that's what I'm bringing into myself is new light, right? I was teaching my cousin about some stuff like this yesterday. And I said, look, bro, when you're about to go to sleep, your body becomes more sensitive, right? You're more sensitive to temperature and you're more sensitive to light. And so you can feel that the light is uncomfortable, right? In fact, when it's dark and people put their phones up like this and the light hits them, it makes them ugly. You know they're not ugly, but it makes them ugly, right? That's a fact, right? And then there's light therapies, right? Where people go into, red light therapy. There's so much proven in that area that that heals you, right? The moonlight, right? We start working with the moonlight, start working with the sunlight. These are healing energies, right? And so I'm eating foods that have absorbed a lot of light, and I consume that light. It's pure. You know what I'm saying? Like an egg, it made energy from the chicken that he was eating the grains or whatever, right? And with grains, they're not the best foods, right? And so we're working with high vibrational stuff like that. So that's what's in my mind.
Dope. High vibrational foods, man. So what would you say is food that is light? Do you want to share that with the audience? Like what would be something that absorbs more light?
Yeah, so like the most we're talking about like chlorophyll, right? If you guys ever heard of chlorophyll, right? Matcha, dark leafy green spinach, kale, romaine lettuce, like the greens, just the greens and stuff like that. All that stuff is just filled with light, right? Anything that comes from a tree, right? They've got a lot of light in it, because that's what it absorbs. Like, you're like, let's just say a cow eats grass, it's eating the light food, right? And then you eat the meat. Well, it's if the cow only ate grass all its life, that meat is going to be high quality meat. It's actually going to be alkaline. I've tested it myself, right? The meat, if the cow only eats grass, the meat that you eat is going to be alkaline. It's going to be really healthy meat, right? And so that is also a way of like making sure that what you eat. No. Let me say it again. The thing that you eat, you become what they ate, right? And so we're just in this process of recycling the energy, right? And so if I can get a little bit closer to the food itself, if I can just cut the chain link and go straight to the light, because I can't make energy from the light, but the plants can. They make energy straight from the light. And so they know how to process the light and make it into a combustible energy for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just integrating all of that. Yeah, man, that's super cool actually. Like I hadn't considered that. As far as I tried to link the whole like photosynthesis thing together with like what you said, and I was like thinking about it, and I was like, damn, yeah, you're totally right about that. Like there's a part of like the health food industry that I think a lot of us miss. They don't teach us this kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. I want to open up to any questions that somebody might have, or anything, any statements from the audience. DC, Hisham, any questions, any thoughts? How you guys feeling? Y'all feel free to raise your hand and speak.
We got to start playing like the Jeopardy theme song, like you know what I mean?
Ding, ding. Yeah. So,
Yo.
hello.
Yo, good, bro.
Yo, what's up? I don't know many of you guys here, but I know you met from, I don't know how I discovered you, but synchronicity. But yo, can you guys hear me good, by the way?
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but we can hear you.
Okay, how about now?
That's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad I came in this because these topics are great. You asked if I had any questions. I do want to talk about first how like everything, like it's not directly our thoughts, it's like everything. Like the diet thing is huge, like cleaning out your colon. Because I've been studying health and like different things in health, and I realized how much parasites affect our psyche and our thinking, like from the foods we eat. So I think cleaning out your colon and getting clean helps with that. Another thing is the fact that we think the same thoughts. I think I already knew it, but I think you told me like 90+% of our thoughts get recycled from the previous day. So like breaking out of the thinking is so hard, and like that's something I'm trying to do. Like, what's the term? Like reprogram the subconscious mind. So I've been looking for ways to kind of do that, and I know that's through action, through being aware of your thoughts, like I'm being the observer kind of thing. So I'm kind of fighting this battle with trying to be present and know that I'm the thoughts versus being dragged by the thoughts and kind of being on autopilot. So yeah, my question is more so, what do you guys do to catch yourself, like if you're out and about and then you're thinking thoughts that you realize aren't beneficial? What do you guys kind of do to break out of that pattern?
First thing I do is I ask myself, is it true? Right? You got to go like super logical here, because you got to understand that when you're going through that moment, you're stuck in emotion, right? So you need to ask yourself a complex question, right? And now, I mean, like, let's just say if you're just going on and about and you're fucking up your day and you're not realizing that you have control over your life, well, then, I would just say you need to first get awareness, right? I don't know if that's where you're at. I don't think that's where you're at, because you're able to talk about it. Someone who's not able to talk about it, they're not there yet, but it's just very simple as like, am I fucking up or am I not fucking up, right? And if I'm fucking up, what the fuck am I doing? Because I'm doing something, man. I'm doing something, right? It's me who's engaging with the world in a way, and the universe is engaging back with me, right? So we're playing this whole time. This is a game, dude. This is a straight up fucking game, And so, like, I say that in the most pure form. This is the most pure, the game. This is a game. This is what this life is. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta play it, man. You gotta play it. You gotta become a player. You gotta know your character, right? Know your archetype, know your purpose. Where are you going? What's your intention? What's your direction? And if you're not going in that direction, what can you do to make sure? It's very simple as that. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So you're saying kind of get clear on your direction and your purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't have a direction, you're sort of just kind of moving, and sometimes that's a place where we need to be. Sometimes we need to just let go and see where things take us. We're in a place where we don't know, and we, in a way, that even too is a direction. That's letting go. That's your direction. That's my intention, right? But even though there's a deeper direction where it's like your desire is going to give you direction, right? What do you want, right? Trust what you want and give yourself what you want, right? Now, this is what I learned. Okay, if something feels good, right? There's two kinds of feel good.
Yeah.
There's the feel good of I feel good now, but I feel bad later, right? And then there's the I feel good now and I feel even better later, right? That's how I determine which of my desires is the one I should go after. If I'm going to feel good now and later, that's the desire. That's the good desire. If people are like, oh, my desire now to get drunk and go party, but then they feel shit the next day and they got a fucking hangover. Well, that wasn't the right decision,
Yeah, that's kind of like these short-term pleasures, like jerking off or eating junk food or like watching porn. You know what I mean? You mean like that? You feel good in the moment, but after you feel like shit. And then versus going to exercise, my view on exercise kind of changed. I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of like shaping your body and kind of celebrating your body. So I guess the endorphins from working out. And I do really fall in that trap of the bad feel good. Like you feel good in the moment and then you feel bad after. And I know it's not on purpose. No one purposely wants to destroy themselves, So another question that came up is like, how do you fight self-sabotage with doing things bad and then you feel bad after, doing things good in the moment and feeling bad after, and also when you realize you didn't do things and then beating yourself up? Like I get caught in that loop too, versus just, I feel like I get caught up in analyzing the past and overanalyzing versus just taking action. So I'm kind of looking for ways to break out of that.
Soon, go ahead and answer it, and if I want to say something afterwards, I might try.
Sure, brother. So, man, well, one thing that Ivan brought up, which was very powerful, is the idea of character, right? And I looked the other day, and basically the word character comes from chiron, and chiron means to carve, right? To carve something. So it's carving something is like an art, right? It's like you're taking time with it. You're making sure it's going in the right way, the right direction. And the way I see it is the coding of this game that the character is playing is the word we use.
Is the what? Sorry, you cut out.
Is the words that we use.
Okay. Right. The words we use with ourselves.
Yeah, the self-talk and also the other talk. So for an example, you use the word battle, right? Well, you using the word inner battle, like that already creates a battle within you, right? Because you actually imagine this war that's taking place, right? So instead of that, you want to get to this point of like changing the word around to something that's more, I guess, makes you feel more appropriate towards a specific end goal, right? So like you want to get to a space of acceptance rather than resistance or tension that you're creating through the words. If you say like, man, this shit is torture, you imagine what torture looks like subconsciously, right? So that's like reptilian, the mind thinks in images constantly, right? That's why sex sells. That's why all this stuff is, it goes right to our survival, right? And so when you can change the words around, you're changing the coding, therefore changing the experience. You see, so that's one of the ways that you can definitely start to change this around. What was your second question, brother? Just remind me again.
It was more of ways to fight self-sabotage when you get caught in the loop of kind of not self-attacking, but when you're caught in the loop of overthinking, how do you break out of that and put your focus into producing or taking action?
I almost frame it from the standpoint of like, this was meant to happen. Like, this is my wake-up call. You know, like this self-sabotage needed to happen in some way for me to actually change some shit up or to do something different. You know what I mean? So it's not like this is a problem. It's like, I love it. I'm learning to love it, you know, in a sense where I'm like, now it's happened, but I'm not like, oh man. It's like, you want to avoid going like, oh man, not again. You know, instead of that, you want to be like, heaven, yeah. You know, bring it on. This is another level of this. It's just another refinement that I've got to work on, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's more of a mindset switch type of thing. But I think after a while, you start to get more used to it because you understand the pattern better, right? You'll understand the self-sabotage better if you've done it like 70 times now, right? So each time now you're adding more like refinements to it, right? You're tweaking each time. So that's how I handle it. Ivan, what would you say, brother?
Yeah, so I want to go back to that point that you made about alchemizing the word, right? Alchemizing your language, always looking for better ways to describe your world. And we had an event called Writing Reality. And this is essentially what people came into the learning was like, hey, they learn how to have more control of their world, right? And we literally do that by the way that we're viewing it, right? And remember this, Sum said it, I'm gonna say it again. Your words create your world, right? And so when you're describing things, let's just say, I'll put it like this. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I know what I know, but that's only in this world of illusion. And so this world only is what you think it is. It doesn't go past that. It only is what you think it is. Okay. And so when I was going through really hard times, emotionally, with money, with relationships, what I realized was I chose to go through this. Right? I'm gonna talk about my money story. When I was in India, I lived with Sumed. I was hella broke. I was so fucking broke, dude. Now I'm making $3,500 every 2 weeks, right? That's about 7K a month, right? I wish I was making that kind of money back then. I really would, but I realized that because of I grew up in a very nice house. I grew up, you know, we always had our, you know, nice clothes. My parents always had nice cars. We went to nice restaurants, right? We had money. And so what I realized is that I purposely put myself through a place of being broke so that I could understand the value of a dollar. So I can truly understand the value of a dollar and what it means to work hard for your money. I had to learn that lesson. So retrospecting, I only realized this after a year or 2 years, was that I purposely put myself through that problem so that I could understand something, right? And that's how I see all of my life. All the relationship problems I had, I purposely put myself through that so that now I can know what that's like to get out of that, and then I can help people like you guys here. So that's my own. That's my frame of my world, is that I purposely put myself through this problem. That's what I tell myself. I purposely put myself through this, right? Because there's something that I need to take out from it that I don't have yet, right? It's not activated yet. And so is it true? Yes or not? I don't fucking know. I have no fucking clue, but I also have no clue if I didn't. I actually don't know. I don't know either way, But this other world, it serves me, right? And because I'm describing it different, right? So that's how I feel about it.
Dope, brother. RJC, I saw you had your hand up earlier. I don't know if you can talk right now. You're driving.
Yeah, I'm good, brother. My hand's gone up and down a few times because as you guys are speaking, you know, it's inspiring thoughts, but then, you know, the topic moves on a little bit and I don't want to backhash. But pretty much I'm about to speak from just my experience and just go off a little bit of what I've heard from you guys. Recently, you know, about being in patterns and stuff. At the beginning of this conversation, you kind of spoke about like having to drop everything. You know, it's almost like you need a shock to your system, which kind of comes from self-sabotage and stuff like that. It's like if you see in the movies or if you've ever dealt with it in person where someone's like hysterical and then they get slapped and they get snapped out of it, you know, that's because they're going on that autopilot. They're stuck in whatever pattern they're running at that point. But in my experience, it's not just awareness that helps you break the patterns, because awareness just helps you put a label on it. There's something else. There's a missing ingredient personally. And what I've been learning about it recently is that, you know, like you were saying, words create your worlds and stuff. You know, actively creating your world, you know, because you can move through things and move through your daily experience and have nothing move you, not in the negative or the positive, because, you know, in my experience, I chalk everything up to just, it is what it is. You know, this is just a variable that I have to deal with. But coming on the other side of it, I'm trying to rewrite that story and make the things empower me. So with these things, you know, that you deal with on a daily basis that may or may not shock your system, if you actively create, if you're actively, sorry, I'm kind of losing it here. Where I'm trying to figure out, or what I'm trying to work on, is actively creating with my words based on my experiences, because I can go through my experiences, but I don't always necessarily frame them. And the only reason I'm saying that is because it is a very powerful thing. Like you're talking about quantum physics and stuff like that, rewriting your past and changing your future. It is all about how you decide to create that experience. So for me, you know, when I've had to go back and break a pattern, it's because there's been a shock to my system. And then sometimes, you know, we get caught in hypnotic rhythm and we may lose focus or stop creating. So I'm interested, and I think it's a snowball effect, in creating more with my words. That way the hypnotic rhythm flows the other way. So now I'm just living in this world that I created instead of a world full of data. Because that's how I see everything. Everything is data to me. I'm not very emotionally attached to too much of it because I just see it as, you know, parts, pieces, you know, tools. But it's just interesting, you know, again, I'm saying a lot, but I'm just kind of letting it all out from this whole conversation, different points that you guys have said. It all makes a lot of sense and it's all very powerful stuff. It's just a trip because it's just tying into where I'm at right now. So thanks.
Thanks for sharing, brother. So I want to give a little example of something that I went through last night where I was creating my world with my words as the world around me was not moving like that. And it's something that had to do with my girlfriend, right? She sits next to me, right? And I was like, oh yeah, baby, get closer. And she's like, no, right? And I'm like, well, then get the fuck away. And she's like, well, you know what? Then I'm gonna squish you now. And then she gets closer to me and she jumps on top of me, right? And my reaction, the whole, like my girlfriend, the last, like at that period when that was happening, she was trying to poke at me. She just kept saying things that were trying to aggravate me, something, right? But in my frame, my worldview is my girl's just doing this just for fun. Like it's not actually serious, right? And so this is really funny. She's like, I'm gonna shave your dog, and I was like, bitch, go shave your pussy. And so it's if someone's purposely poking at you, I take that stick and I poke it. I take that stick and I poke them with that stick. You know what I mean? Because that was my worldview, was that I'm creating this world as I'm speaking it. And if I go bitch in that moment, my girl is gonna she's not gonna like me. She's not gonna get turned on by me. She's gonna be like, this guy's just a fucking pussy. He gets offended by everything I say, right? But instead, I make a joke from everything that she says, right? And so that's just a very simple way of how we create our reality in the moment. And we have 2 minutes, by the way, so anything anybody wants to say.
I like what you said on not taking it too seriously, almost taking it as a joy. If I interpret it correctly, almost as if everything that happens, say, can be enjoyed, even if someone is poking you, whatever. And I like that. I like that philosophy. It can be interpreted as a joy because it's still within my power to see it as such.
Yeah, man, that's so powerful because like in frame control, you can either amplify the frame, you can be like, you're stupid. Be like, you know, you can exaggerate that, which would be so ridiculous, right? Or it could go to the point of like, okay, completely like ignore it, like just run over it, right? And completely just you know, bulldoze over it, basically. Ask a different question altogether. Where are you from? Yeah, so I was talking about you know, you completely ignore it, right? Or the third way is to like almost reframe it, right? As something positive. And I believe that you did the first one and the last one, right? Of just like, you took it, you amplified it, you exaggerated it comically, or you reframed it as, that's not a bad thing. You know, so I think that can be very, very applicable to everybody. It's just like to be able to keep your reality, like just the way that you want it to be, right? And just keep coming from that reality. That's what any leader does. That's what anybody in high status does. They just stay in their own lane, own world, you know, and they can adapt that world. Of course, they're always adding to that world, right? It's not one world that they're stuck in. They're like this stubborn person, but they're like, you know, let me refine it a little bit. Let me redecorate. Oh shit, my framing needs a little bit redecorating, right? And so that's kind of like the way that it works in terms of, if you really understand, you can change the lens of how you see the world. You know, just you got to take the glasses off and put on a different pair sometimes. You know, see other people's perception or perspective. But yeah, guys, I think we're over time. Thank you so much for being here. Many blessings.
I assume real quick, I just got one final thing I want to say as my concluding message to everyone, is that things are never as they seem. Things are never as they seem. Okay? That is my message to you.
Dope, man. Things are never as they seem. Let that resonate in your ears for the rest of this day. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. Be the best, fuck the rest. Stay legendary. May the flow, may you never be the same again. That's what I feel.